We're back here live in the Off the Mark studio, ready for round 2.
Come on!
Hello and welcome back to Off the Mark, an AFL Fantasy podcast. I am Mason.
And I'm Casey, and I forgot how weird it is to use mics.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I haven't used a microphone since last year for me personally. But
you're a singer, mate. What do you
yeah,
mean?
yeah, it's a good point. Point taken. No, we're here in the Off the Mark office with the lovely views of the.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
I've got to figure out what building that is.
Well, that's the Maya Centre.
Yeah,
No.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Yeah, I don't know
just
what that is.
Well, there's a building you can see. We
Yeah,
don't know
there's
what
a
it is.
couple.
There's a few. There's TAFE over there.
Adelaide Oval is that way.
Yeah.
As most of you would probably know the landmark.
Yeah.
Football fans, that's probably where you
Exciting.
would know things. But yeah, Rundle and all that behind us. So it's very nice. Got a nice backdrop for you.
Yeah.
In the Off the Mark offices.
Off the something like that. Just what practice room.
Where we
Yeah.
record, basically.
Exactly.
But we're ready for round 2, and we're ready to give you all the information ready for tonight, for the weekend ahead, and what we're doing with our fantasy team after one round that we've seen.
No, it's been a lot of stuff to think about, do all that sort of stuff.
Digest.
Oh, mate,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
First set of trades.
Very interesting. Well, let's dive straight into the first segment, cop or flop, which we didn't get to do last week because we weren't trading, but we've got cop or flop. If you weren't a listener last year, we each pick one cop, one player you want to get in with your trades, and one flop, one player who we've seen a bit of noise around throughout the week and we just don't think is a good option at all. So I'll go first. My cop is Luke Jackson.
I like it.
Now, I'm doing the ruck upgrade this week from Zakostelski up to Jackson, doing that through the Errol to Murdoch trade, which I think a lot of people are doing. I think we'll see later with teams whether Murray is in, but I think regardless, getting this one done in a week where I can is good to get rid of McAndrew at R2. I mean, how often are we going to get the option to bring a good ruck in without also losing McAndrew and trading him once his cash gen's either done or still going? So, I'm leaving problems behind like Parrish, Blackiston, Windsor, and possibly some premiums that underperformed, but I think I'm happy to give him all one more go. We've seen him for 1 week. I'm happy to give him another go. And McAndrew I keep at R3, so I don't lose his cash gen. If he goes well, if he doesn't go well, I'm pretty lucky I went him Jackson at R2. So as for Luke Jackson as a player, 125 last week. Was against Geelong, but he was the second ruck as well, so most of that probably came from midfield time. Sean Darcy did play 45% time on ground, and I can kind of see him on his way out. We'll see a bit later with the teams. Freo looked absolutely run off their legs in that last half of that game, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's the first one to go. And as I mentioned in our preseason ruck preview, if you didn't hear that, games where Jackson had under 50% ruck contests and over 50% CBAs, so mostly as a midfielder, he averaged 95.7. Great. Pretty much what he's priced at. Well, not anymore, what he was priced at.
Yeah.
Games where he had more than 50% ruck contests and more than 50% CBAs, so pretty much was a sole ruck or played most of his game time as a ruck. He averaged 103.2, which is elite. And in games that he had under 50% ruck contests and under 50% CBAs, so probably a ruck resting forward type of thing, which was 3 games, he averaged 77. So his best position is that full-time number 1 ruck, then as the ruck resting mid, which is kind of what he played last week, and then the ruck resting forward. Now, my one question is, does Hayden Young out, who's been confirmed out for 1 to 2 weeks, mean that they go with Cox as a ruck and Jackson as the ruck midfielder? Because they need to replace him as a midfielder. Or is Jackson still that sole ruck because they want the speed, which is what they lacked last week? And does someone else in the midfield takes Young's spot? That's my red flag, but I still think that, this is a trade to set and forget, essentially. Yeah. English and Jackson for the year, I think should be all right.
Solid. No, I can't fault that at all. That's if I had the cash to do that, I certainly would. I don't have the luxury of going down from Goulden because, I nailed all my premium picks, clearly.
Right, yeah.
Clearly. But no, a cop for me, I'm really big on just getting the right rookies in. So what I've been doing, I've been mucking around this week trying to find, I was going up to a Wayne Miller, who I'm sure we'll talk about, going up in the rucks, like I said. But I think I'm just set on just making sure you nail your rookie picks because blokes like Myers, Murdoch, Grill, if you didn't have him, Jax is an absolute must. All those blokes with minus break-evens, like negative break-evens, you've got to have for cash gen. Otherwise, you're going to be playing catch up come like round 10. All these guys are going to have 400, 500 K more than you, and you're just going to be behind on upgrading your premiums. So in a week where we can hide behind the best 18, just get them on. Get them on your field. It doesn't matter if they're on your field. One of them might pop like we saw last week.
Definitely. Some names there for you. So just the ones that I have in my team that I'm reading out. Jax minus 47, break even, definitely must. Sarong minus 6 is you could go there. Selwood has a 1 break even.
Yeah.
Some people are trading off that. You could trade into that if you wanted to, although I don't think he makes too much more cash. Grill minus 8, Myers minus 14, Murdoch minus 26. Jagger minus 41, although he's on his bye. McAndrew minus 1. Robertson minus 31. Lombard minus 15. Gothard minus 12. Tunstall and Zakastelski minus 3, but they are on their bye. Josh Lindsay even with a 1. Gibcus with a 2. Jack Carroll with a 3. These are all names that I think would be viable options if you did. I think it's as well if you have a rookie that you're not happy with.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you had a Doveston, you go into blokes like Deverob, Lombard, especially Cook with the 0 break even, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's not even like going from the player. It's if you've got the Doveston, you want to have, like, I didn't mention a Cook there with a 0.
Yeah.
You want to have Cook, Robertson, Lombard. You want to have enough options that they can kind of just rot on your bench because you're probably holding with those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, going that Goulden down and someone else up, or even holding the cash into next week, which is something that... Are you doing that this week?
I am indeed.
Cash?
Yeah, I've
How much cash
317. So
317. Okay,
it's not as much as people who are going Errol down and then somebody else down.
Yeah, I've got 244, so I'm the same. Yeah.
How do you? Crazy. That's not real. I rate that. You're going up to Luke Jackson and still have 200K. You've nailed your trade this week.
I think I held, from memory, I held a fair bit of cash. I don't actually remember how much cash I held into round 1, but I was happy with my team.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Before, so I just didn't worry about cash. If it was 200K, it was. But yeah, Goulden to Murdoch, Zakastelski up to Jackson. Yeah. I'm essentially trading Zakastelski for Murdoch and Goulden for Jackson.
Yeah.
Is the rip, but DPP has to make me do that, but...
Nice.
Yeah,
Flops?
that's it. Flops. Well, my flop is any buy player. So I've heard a bit throughout the week of. No, okay, I know that's very broad. But
mine was going to be the same. So
right. I've heard a lot throughout the week of people going, "Oh, Goulden's out. Can we replace him with players on that round?" First of all, you're not trading in a player who has bye this week. It's a round 2 buys. So Bailey Smith, Max Holmes, Sam Walsh, Nick Dacos, Josh Dacos. You're not trading any of those guys. We're just not doing that. In terms of round 3 buy players, so some say the argument is I had Errol, I was willing to hold him for the round 3. Could I sideways him to a Bont, to a who else has that buy? Anderson, yeah, those types. Can I just sideways there and I still have a player on the round 3? You could,
but do you want to?
But I think that this is such a good opportunity not to do that and to get a player off because then how much further ahead are you going to be not having a player on that buy?
Exactly.
And actually, I'm going to extend my flop a little bit. I don't think it's a flop holding enough cash for a premium because if you're holding 900K in your bank, like a lot of people are, you're essentially
going without an extra premium.
It's the same as picking a buy player.
Yeah.
You either hold 900K this week and go without a premium because that's the cash you're holding, or you spend that on a premium with a buy and you don't have Bont next week or whatever, and you're essentially, instead of holding cash this week, going Bont next week and then having him on the buy. So you're essentially buying... having a premium on a buy without actually owning that premium. Yes, you get to look at everyone again, pick who you want next week based off of things, but I think that if you want to be aggressive, and even not, you just going that non-buy player as a premium is a good move. So names in the midfield, probably Sarong's a main one, and as an owner, you're happy for people to go there?
Oh, as an owner? No, man, I jumped on Brayshaw. Remember?
I just remember you were hot on Sarong.
Yeah. I did the stupid podcast. I can't wait for next year. It's going to be great. I'm going to actually listen to what I say all pre-season and then do that.
Yeah.
But no, happy for people to jump on Sarong. I was very close. My Monday rage trade was Brayshaw to Sarong, and then I thought about it and I was like, I probably can't wait to trade there. But yeah, man, he's certainly someone to go to. Even a Zach Merritt, I like the role.
Jai Caldwell?
I want to see more. I think
that's probably fair.
You can say, look, he had 74 at halftime, 100%. But how many times is Essendon going to get blown out in the second half? I can see that being a recurring thing.
Yeah.
The time on ground was a bit upsetting, though. I'm sure he could get that back up. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So just looking at players by price. So non-buy players, Jordan Dawson. Would you be happy to go there? 95 last week, 1.13. You're paying for him now.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Worried about him landing on himself and then like hurting his back in the last quarter. I don't know if anyone saw that or anyone speculated on that. It's nothing because we haven't heard anything. But still, after scoring 90, I reckon his break even would be high. It'd be up there, like a 110-ish, 120.
There you
120. There you go. So I'm happy you can miss Dawson for a week and he'll still be gettable. I like the likes of Sarong and Merritt more. Those are probably the only two I'd go to this week.
Yeah, so Merritt 97 break even, scored the 112 last week. Caldwell, for those interested, 112 break even, scored the 91, or they had a 70 something point first half. So, I mean, the thing about that Essendon game was that everyone scored poorly in that second half. They got dismantled. Like, there was no room for anyone to score. So I think that if, hopefully we don't see Essendon be that shit all the time, but as you said before, I think it probably will be a thing of them being that shit. Where is Sarong? Cheap. 976k he still is. Break even of 82, scored a 108. So my worry with Sarong, as an owner of Brayshaw, both of us, 53 last week, Sarong 108. We can't pinpoint a reason as to why Sarong was the guy and Brayshaw wasn't.
I know.
Which worries me that what if this week against Melbourne, Brayshaw's the 110 guy and Sarong's the 50 guy?
Oh, what worries
or
me?
both of them are 80s.
That's what I'm happy to dodge the Freo guys, to be honest.
Agreed.
But,
Agreed.
I think I said that in our group chat. I was like, don't feel like you have to get him.
Yeah, definitely.
But hey, look,
I don't think it's a bad pick, but I don't think that it's with everyone go there. It's a must-have or anything.
I had so much stuff in the preseason on how Sarong starts seasons really well. Even more reason for me to pick him over Brayshaw. But I just think it's doable. But I personally won't be. And I'm holding the likes of Brayshaw and the likes of Steele. I've seen some people jump off Steele.
Yeah.
But,
and you could do it.
You could, but
I think jumping off
bigger problems.
That's probably another flop that I didn't think about is jumping off of premiums, especially after round 1, maybe after round 2 or 3 if you really wanted to. And it's a luxury move to be jumping off premiums. And we can sit here saying we got Brayshaw 53, probably the worst performing premium last year.
I didn't have a premium that hit 100. I had in my midfield. Ed Richards was under 100, Zach Butters under 100, Brayshaw, Steele, all of them under 100. So.
Windhager was actually the only one that hit over 100 in my midfield for me.
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We've been there. And Errol with 101.
Oh, yeah, true. He did luckily hit that. But yeah, we're not trading these premiums that are scoring low. I mean, maybe you could argue, from memory, I don't think there's any buy players on this buy that have not been good. So, but yeah, we're not trading Steels, we're not trading Brayshaws. You just hold them in hope and you kind of just fix up. We don't want players to lose money.
Yeah.
So you're fixing up your McKerchers, you're fixing up your Bergmans, you're fixing up, there's another name in there that has been going around that poorly performed. You're fixing up your mid-prices that haven't performed. And if you want to extend that to going off a Windsor Blackiston early and not give them another week, you could absolutely do that.
Yeah. My flop, we kind of talked about it all, buy players, all that sort of thing. I'll just jump on that. We've spoken enough about that.
Yep, too easy. Well, let's go over to some rookies, and it's field or yield. It's an interesting one this week because we have buys, so a lot of us are going to be fielding a lot of rookies, and we're probably more looking at this from like the looping perspective because we're going to have buy players to loop with. So let's look in the defense.
We've got a pretty good run with the defense, I think.
We do.
I think it's a straight bat.
I think it is as well. So we've got Jax, Lindsay, Grill, Sarong.
Yeah,
are probably the main.
Let's leave it at that. Yeah. For me, Jax is a must.
So if you need one rookie on field this week, who are you picking?
If I need one on field,
I'm picking Grill.
Yeah,
because I think that his role was better, and he did it. He did it in a close game where both teams had similar scoring. Whereas I think Jax was a thrashing under the roof. Won't get that every week. Isn't getting that this week. But I still think if you need 2, it's Grill and Jax.
Yep.
And if you needed 3,
well, I've got the luxury of having Houston on my bench, so I can take a look at Jai Sarong tonight.
Yep.
If he scores over a 55, I'll take him. If he doesn't, I'll put Lindsay on.
Yep.
And simple as that. I think that's about where I'm doing with the defenders.
Yeah, but Grill and Jax are ahead above the rest, I think.
Yeah.
Agreed. So your midfielders, we won't have Jagger this week, but he is always a lock on our fields.
Yeah.
Blamires, Carroll, Murdoch is probably the main 3 that everyone has. I have Dyson Sharp as well, but I don't know how highly owned he is. But for me this week, I actually have Grill in my midfield because my structure means I need 2 rookies in the back line, 3 in the midfield, and then the same 2 in the forward line anyways.
Yeah, right.
Because I had Smith and Bruin last week,
yeah.
so I need 3. So I've gone Grill in the midfield, Sarong and Jackson in the defence, and then I've got Blamires and Murdoch sitting there. If you had to pick and you only need 2, Blamires or Murdoch?
Oh, I'm picking Blamires.
Yeah.
Because he's playing West Coast, and I think, as I said about Murdoch last week, I think it was pretty fluky that he scored that highly, especially with the role that he played as a forward blocker pushing in.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get that much ball. I reckon he'll be a 70 guy.
Yeah.
And Blamires against West Coast has the possibility to go bang. Now, that's not discounting the fact that Murdoch hit what did he hit, like 90 something, 95 in a thrashing against Gold Coast, so that they lost by a lot, and he still was able to score that highly. I'm not discounting that, but I just think if we're backing a midfield spot over a forward pocket, we're doing that every day.
Yeah, definitely.
Despite him having a lower break even, despite him scoring higher last week.
Yeah, we're on Murdoch for the break even, not for the score.
Correct. Yeah.
Whereas Blamires,
I think he'll do both.
Yeah, so he played off half back last week. Colby's the interesting one for Blamires' role for me. Does Colby stay on the half forward? Because a lot of talk has been he's coming back from injury. Clarko said yesterday that they're working him back, slowly increasing his time on ground. So I think, again, on Colby, you need to jump off that. But Blamires played that half back role. Luke Parker played the half back role. I want to know, in the preseason, when were these guys put there? Because before Colby's injury, he was set on that half back, and he was a lock. Probably the lock of our sides.
If I'm thinking flexibility, Blamires I don't see as a forward, but Luke Parker's played there for most of his career, so I feel like you'd be able to straight back that one if you're a Clarko.
But then who do you want? Would you rather Blamires or Parker on the half back?
Yeah.
Is the question. You'd probably rather Parker,
Yeah,
so does
sure.
Blamires just leave the side is the worry. Or does he play midfield?
Yeah.
He was a midfielder in the VFL, so possibly plays there. I don't think Blamires has a worry for his job security, but it's something to watch. But I think while he's playing, and we haven't confirmed in our sides, I don't think he's the type of guy, especially with Colby having low time on ground, he's not the type for Clarko to play 60%. Yeah. He'll play his full game, and I think he'll score well this week. So, we're Blamires, then Murdoch.
Correct.
And was there one other name I mentioned
Carroll
there?
On the bench.
Carroll. Yeah, you're probably sticking that on the bench.
Oh, both these guys play like West Coast and North both play on the Sunday. I've got Carroll as an emergency.
You're probably looping that, but
exactly.
Carroll against Giants could be good.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've got it on. Emergency.
I mean, we saw what Jax did against the Giants last week. We saw what Zorko did round 0 against the Giants.
Over these next 3 weeks, with the bye and with having bye players on your bench, there's no need to take unnecessary risks. So things like that, Jack
Looping
Carroll
is the
should
key.
score highly.
Yep.
But there's always worry of he might get injured. He might play 50% time on ground and score a 12, and he can't loop that with the time on ground threshold. So you just chuck an emergency on it, and then when he hits 70 like you expect, you chuck Bruin on your bench. And it's as simple as that. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, the Blamires Murdoch is like... Well, I could loop Sharp, but Blamires and Murdoch play the same game. Yeah. So I can't do that, which is the unfortunate thing. But in the back line, you see, I could loop Sarong and Selwood.
That's what I'm
Don't think I want to do that.
You don't have Lindsay, do you?
I don't have Lindsay. I have Selwood instead of Lindsay.
Yeah, right.
And then a mid in my utilities. So I think I'm set on. I'll just go. I mean, I probably could loop it, but
it's always worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I might as well.
Yep.
There we go. So then, I mean, Rux
Forward line?
McAndrew is
simple
just
as
there,
that.
and you're not doing anything else with that. Forward line, for me, sitting there right now. So Marshall, we have word probably should play this week.
He's on my bench.
I've got him on my bench, and I've got Lombard on my bench.
Correct,
and then I've got
same.
Cook and Robertson on my field.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone to loop with in the forward line. If you're thinking of that.
Yeah, me too.
Neither would you, so just be wary of that one.
If you wanted to, you could loop Cook in the midfield. Oh, you don't have you wouldn't have the DPP to do that. Yeah, I guess so.
That's all right.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
pretty straight
I think Cook and Robertson are the guys.
Yeah.
Port Mids didn't score great against North last week, so definitely don't expect the 104 that Robertson scored last week, but should be good. And Cook should be, again, great against the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Ash had a 130 last week, so that should be fine.
Loving it.
Well, there's Field or Yield. Onto a quick bit of weather watch, and then we should have the teams relatively soon. Why do you like?
I love it. It's
you
hilarious.
find this segment so funny.
It's hilarious. I love it. And they're changing Marvel, so you'll have more.
Yes, I did see this.
We'll
This was
about.
big for Weather Watch. Was that Marvel now, when it's good weather, are opening the roof? Can you believe it? This is big
That's
news.
unreal, mate.
This is huge news. I don't know how this didn't make national headlines.
Weather Watch fans are loving it.
Oh, exactly. Well, let's look at Weather Watch. Interestingly, no games at Marvel this week, so a lot to watch. And let me tell you, Weather Watch has just gone to the next level.
It has. It has indeed.
I've rated every game out of 10 based on its weather. Shut up. This is good stuff. People are going to know this.
It's awesome.
This affects the captains. This affects the rookies. This affects who you're trading in.
I'm not laughing at it. I'm laughing with you. I love it.
I just tried to find something that the other podcasts didn't do.
That's what I'm laughing
so that
at.
we didn't
I love
have
the fact that we have this.
yeah, exactly. This is our thing.
You're going to make an Instagram thing about it. Yeah.
I think I will.
Yeah, nice.
I think I will. So, Hawthorn v Sydney tonight. I've given this one a 7 out of 10. Low chance of rain, light winds. Can you stop?
I'm trying.
Friday night, Adelaide versus Bulldogs at the Adelaide Oval. This is a 10 out of 10. No rain, light winds, perfect weather. It's going to be good here in Adelaide over the weekend. Richmond v Gold Coast at the MCG. 8 out of 10. No rain, medium winds. So, maybe a bit of risky kicking there. GWS versus St Kilda at NG Stadium. This one's a 4 out of 10. So there's a lot of rain. 1 to 7 mils. I can't do this with you laughing at me.
Tears in my eyes. This is awesome.
So, Giants v St Kilda on the Saturday afternoon. Rain. Possible thunderstorms during the game. Light winds. So, see, this is important. We could even see a cancelled game here with a thunderstorm.
We could.
I could have been the one to predict Sinclair only playing a half. And if you had him as your captain, you'll be glad you switched it up after listening to me. Freo v Melbourne on Saturday night. No rain, lightish winds, 33 during the day. So a little warm. Players might get a bit tired out. I put that one at a 9 out of 10. Port v Essendon, this is a 10 out of 10. Adelaide's going to be beautiful this weekend. No rain, light winds. West Coast
no chance of a power outage.
No chance of a power outage. Don't have electricians on the ground yet. We're working on it for Weather Watch, but we might see that in the future. West Coast v North at Optus Stadium. That's a 9 out of 10. Same as the Freo game. No rain, medium winds, but sunny and hot. So watch for that one. That's Weather Watch.
2 games at Optus. There you go.
Yeah, I know. Two games at Adelaide Oval because they didn't have any last week because it was all Melbourne.
Of course it was.
Because Melbourne can't have, can't have opening round, so they have to have round 1. And now, no games at Marvel. Only 2 games at the MCG. Can you believe it? Only 2 games in Melbourne. Don't know what they'll do. Sorry for any Melbourne listeners out there. Probably doesn't bode well for...
Sorry, Jackie Pearce. Love you, mate. All right, carry on.
All right, so captains. Thought as well I would keep track of my captains. So they averaged 99.88 last week.
Unreal.
Not great. So
no.
we need a better effort this week, I think. Obviously affected by the Errol injury. Brayshaw sucked. Butters and Dawson went under a ton, well under what they should have. So we're hitting them for 6s this week.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, by the way, on our document, yes, I accidentally forgot to get rid of Jagger Smith.
That's what I thought you were about to start talking about him.
Look, looping option. If you wanted to loop, you could do that.
Can't argue with that.
I meant to have 8. I'll say 9. Luke Jackson was number 9. Didn't quite make the cut. So, huge watch on what's happening with him and Darcy, how much we reckon he plays midfield, and the fact that he plays Gawn this week instead of Mitch Edwards last week. Still should be good score. Probably a VC, I think. So, 100 to 115. Number 8, Jack Sinclair. So we saw Jax go 112 as a rookie against the Giants last week. So imagine what Sinclair can do now as a premium. That was under the roof at Marvel. There could be rain and thunder, as the Weather Watch told us. So this is where it gets interesting. So probably I'm saying VC only on Sinclair. Been in great form though with 110 last week, 122 in opening round, and 149 in the preseason match. So I'm expecting him to go 90 to 125.
Yeah.
Number 7's Christian Petrarca. Mids actually didn't score fantastically against Richmond last week. Walsh the highest at 99, although Carlton sucked shit, so that's probably why.
And he's not averaging 3 goals a game either.
No, that is true. 121 Petrarca scored in their Geelong demolition, 108 in their West Coast demolition. I don't expect this to be any different. He did fade off at the end of last week, though, so I'm a little bit scared of that. Zach Butters, Petrarca, I'm predicting 105 to 120. Yep. Zach Butters is number 6, though. Just a disappointing 92 last week, and I have faith he'll go huge here against the Bombers. Just not the safe pick I'd want to be on a Sunday as the captain. He's actually never, ever in his career gone 120 plus against the Bombers. Just a 106 in 2024, and he didn't play them last year, so we don't have data on that. But I'm expecting him to go 105 to 125. Harry Sheasel's number 5, 119 last year against the Eagles. Same as Butters. I'm just not as excited as this is a captain. It's more of a VC, but he plays the last game of the round, unfortunately. He should rack, especially in junk time. North were good last week. West Coast, well, they had a good second half, so maybe this could be more interesting than we think. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is just a straight bat 110, which again is not bad for our captains. But look, I'm expecting him to have a 110 to a 120. Now we get into the big guns. Number 4, Tim English. So we have no data on McAndrew except for Cameron scoring an 87 last week. English should monster him.
Yeah.
You could have said the same about Cameron, I guess. English will challenge him all around the ground, much more than Cameron did. We also saw English be a part of some junk time scoring, getting a lot of plus sixes in the back half of that demolition of the Giants. So I don't expect that against the Crows. Should be a pretty close game, I would think.
Yeah.
But he still should be good. Number 3, Connor Rosie. So this is the guy I'm wanting to go with as captain, I think.
Yeah.
Just an 84 last year against the Bombers, but 133 in 2024 and 145 in 2023. If he's playing half back as well and not midfield, Sicily went 120 last week against the Bombers. Impey 114 against the Bombers. So halfbacks were the 2 highest scorers there. I think he's safer as butters and he'll be my captain.
Nice.
Number 2, I've gone Jordan Dawson. 129 and 126 against the Doggies last year and the year before. So great scores there, great history. Wasn't great for a 95 last week, but I think he'll bounce back. He shouldn't get a tag. Back in Adelaide, he'll want to get the win against, the informed team of the comp in the Doggies. And informed team of the comp, who's number 1 captain except for Marcus Bontempelli.
Can't argue that.
He should be great against the Crows. 166 last year in round 18. It wasn't Marvel. So the year before Adelaide Oval, still a 126. So still great. He's playing fantastically at the moment. I'm tipping another big one from the Bont. Doggies mids always score well, as we know, and they're flying at the moment. I can't see Bont going quiet. 1, before a bye, and 2, to make them 3-0, like I said before with Dawson. So, I think he's a great pick.
I like it.
Should be good.
What are you doing?
So I am currently doing Tim English into Connor Rosie.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing.
I'm doing the exact same thing.
There we go. I think that's probably the move. I don't have Dawson or Bontempelli, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Obviously, this week we do get to loop, which is fantastic. We didn't last week, but we have bye players. So make sure that if you do want to take your VC, you put a bye player in your field, captain them, and definitely make sure you have that player on the bench emergency, and you don't have 2 emergency as well. Otherwise, you'll get the lowest one of them. It is riskier now with the under 50% TOG rule. As we saw with Philippou last week, you could have an emergency come on. So a lot of people got Dev Rob last week on their bench, as Philippou was under 50% TOG. So if you do use a loop and emergency to loop that, you will have that TOG score stuck on your field. So you would have had Philippou's. If you looped in the forward line last week and your emergency went to Philippou, you won't get that, looping guy. Doesn't seem the teams are out yet, and we've gone through our whole document. So let's go through a couple of other popular trade options. You spoke before about Wayne Miller.
Yeah.
Let's talk about him.
My thoughts on him is that with blokes like Dan Houston, Josh Dacos, Zork mode, I just think there's more reliable options that we can hold off jumping into. Now, Miller, don't get me wrong, I reckon he's going to be great again.
I think he should be good, yeah.
Yeah, we saw what Ash did against Dogs.
Yep, that is true. So he's already kickstarted his cash gen as a mid-price. Exactly. So I guess 111 last week, but I could see him going the same again. And 90 in the preseason he went as well against Freo. So has been in good form. The key for me is his role in the back there. Mark Keane's out, who again is not a halfback, he's a key position player, but he takes a lot of their kick-ins.
Yeah.
Miller had 7 kick-ins last week. He averaged 1.5 last year and didn't have a game where he had 7. So his most kick-ins last year was 3 a few times in round 6, round 3. Mostly had 2 or 1 or maybe even 0. Played on 100% of the time of those 7. So he knows what we're about here.
He knows.
Playing on out of the square. I think as well he takes a bit of the hinge role. Who kind of plays that halfback role. But also the interesting one for me, I saw a stat. Rory Laird, so their main halfback, was 11th for metres gained in the team. Miller?
Yeah.
First.
What's that mean for fantasy?
Doesn't mean much for fantasy, but for the team, the Crows coaches are looking at that. And it's to me, it's an obvious sign that they want the ball in his hands because that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, fair enough.
And could Laird play a bit more midfield time this year? We saw it in the finals last year. I'm just going to quickly pull up. I don't think he had a CBA last week, but
I will say with Miller, injury prone.
Definitely.
Is this another Christian Salem of last year?
Christian Salem was good. Average 93.
He was good, but
it's a risk. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's a risk.
That's the thing.
Definitely.
Do you take that risk when there's blokes like Houston, Dacos, Zorko a week away?
I think if you're grabbing Miller this week and you don't have Houston, you're not grabbing Houston. And if you already have Houston, how many mid-prices do you want back there?
Exactly.
I think that this is a perfect way to, if you
Could go up from Windsor.
if you really didn't like the Windsor role or you wanted to jump off Blackiston early because you have the trades to do that, I think this is a good way to do it if you don't have the cash to go up to a premium. Otherwise, I don't know. I would rather wait for a Zorko the other thing that I don't think I've seen anyone mention this week, and I don't know if we're going to go straight there, but Nick Newman comes back for Carlton after their bye. We were all super hot on him, and the only reason we got off him was because of injury.
Suspended.
He's now had, it's just the suspension, but people were getting cold on him before that because of the injury. And now that he's had 3 weeks of rest, essentially now, he's going to be primed to go, and I think Carlton really need a player like him. Again, we are not trading him in off not seeing him at all.
Yeah.
But if we see one game and he goes pop, all these people that pick Miller
take that
and possibly have Houston then are not going to want to go Newman again. You kind of got to pick who you want to go. So there's a few guys back there. I've just checked as well. Laird had no CBAs last week, 1 kick in, which is very interesting. Still had 25 touches, scored a 103. So we're still involved, but Miller is definitely that main guy back there, I think, now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they use him back there. Also, I thought he was so much older than he is. He's 28.
Yeah, right.
I thought he was like 33.
There you go.
So, anyways, we do have the teams now.
We do.
Is there anyone else you want to mention? Any other popular trade targets you've seen that?
Nah, it's bye week. So the trade targets will ramp up when we have all these guys off their bye.
Definitely.
That we can pick. So
Definitely. Anyone you're looking forward to next week? I mean, Nick's the main
I'm
one.
going up to Nick, from Richards to Nick. I've been saying I'm going to do that the whole year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jump off that now that but no, I really like Zorko, and I really want to, but I don't know if I can. It's risky, and I don't know.
It is.
We'll see.
We say it every year, the age, the injuries, but he hasn't missed a game the last 2 years, and he's been elite.
Exactly.
It's got to end at some point, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh, well.
Teams?
Let's get into teams. On the Thursday night, Hawthorn v Sydney, we already have these teams, so Hawks make no changes there. Corey Warner is in for the Swans with Caden Cleary, with obviously Errol out and Isaac Heaney out. So this means a lot for their midfield. Sheldrick, I think, is going to go huge here, at least have a great role. He's named on the bench, though. Another name I think not too many people are mentioning is Justin McInerney. We saw him pop a big score in opening round, and I don't know, from memory, he scored last week as well. Yeah, it was like a 120 opening round. Is a forward too. Obviously the bye next week, so we're not picking him, but just an interesting one. 84 last week, so expect him to go pretty big here. Other names there and where they're named. Where is our boy? Where is he?
Beautiful.
Sarong. Yeah, there we go, on a wing. Interesting. Right. So one to watch, I guess, but that's that one.
Yeah, Friday in Adelaide, Isaac Rankin, as well expected. And that's it. And Murray's managed. So Murray's out, Rankin's in, and there's no
O'Brien.
No O'Brien.
Is an emergency, but he'll always be. So interesting. I think
not as much fear.
They probably play Thilthorpe ruck.
Correct.
It's the second
but it's
ruck.
Not as much as we thought. It would be the same as last week with Murray.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried. And Murray, I think from memory, played like 40% game time or something. It was not on the field a lot. Yeah.
So fine with that.
Good news.
Doggies, in comes Croft, and out is Lewis, omitted. So
not too much to watch there. Any rookies that we're interested in? So for the Dogs, where is he? Jack's named in the back pocket there. Buderick named off half back, which is good. Ed Richards there named in the middle with Kennedy and Bont. English and McAndrew there is that ruck matchup. Wayne Miller named in the back pocket if you're going there. Cook named on the wing.
Ooh, radio.
So he did play a bit more wing, pushing half back, half forward last week. So maybe watch for a quiet wing at some point to come. It'll come. But again, he's there for cash gen. Yeah. Next game, Richmond v Gold Coast. We have a lot of changes for the Tigers. So Tom Brown comes in, Mike Kelty, Lafau, Dion Prestia, and Nick Vlosten in. With Campbell Gray dropped, Josh Gibcus dropped, Ryan Mansell injured, and Jonty Fall suspended. So Gibcus, an interesting one, was a 230k rook, scored relatively well, had like a 1 break even.
You'd be stiff if you picked him.
Yeah, I know. And for the Gold Coast Suns, Charlie Ballard is in and Bailey Humphrey back after being a laid out last week with Oscar Adams and Jai Farah out. So no fantasy relevant things for us there. Presti is an interesting one though.
The Mayball.
They haven't got rid of a midfielder and they brought him in. So what does this mean for a guy like Lawler?
Yeah.
Is he still, playing as much midfield time? He's named there in the forward pocket. So that's an interesting one to watch. Prestia named on the half forward as well. So Taranto, Hopper, Ross is their midfield mix. Lombard named there in the forward pocket. Petrarca and Anderson there as the followers. Any other names? I don't think so. Zeke Ulan is still there, named last on the bench, matched up with Sam Grill as well, who's named there. So
solid.
Not watching much there.
About the same. So for the GWS play St Kilda. Sorry, I'm new to teams. My bad. I don't know how you see who's on field. I'm just using an AFL app. Anyway.
All right.
So I'll just read
What
the
are you
teams. I'm just on like that.
Oh,
I'll read the teams. You tell me who's on
all
field.
All right.
GWS, no changes. Straightforward. And then St Kilda, we've got Ron Marshall comes in, Liam Stocker comes in, and McRae and Keeler both out. Keeler drops. McRae with the knee. Yeah.
That's an interesting one for mid-time, and also an interesting one because guess who's still on the side? Mateus Philippou.
Yeah, right.
So there was talk that he might still be in the side, which is, I guess, good for owners of him, and also McRae being out and them not bringing in a midfielder is probably good for his time on ground too, or time in the midfield, I guess. And Marcus Wynn hanging named on a wing is the worry there.
Yeah.
I just want that role to be half back. I don't think he'll tag anyone in this game, but it's a worry. So other names there, Garcia named on the half forward, so maybe he doesn't play midfield and tag.
Yep.
Max Hall's name there in the midfield, which is interesting, but Nasir off half back, Carroll off the other half back. And then Philippou named on the bench there. And for the Giants, their midfield mix of Green, Callahan, Oliver, Toby Green that is. Who else is relevant? So Whitfield and Ash off the half backs. And then we have Roaston if you went there on the bench. Not too much to read into that.
Dockers and D's. No changes for Melbourne. And for Freo, Hayden Young's done his hammy. He's out. Might be a bit of time as well. I think we've seen
1 to 2 weeks, I think
and,
it is.
In comes Chris Sherry, spelled differently. The rookie for Freo, mid forward, 230k.
Nice.
We like the mid forward DPP.
Okay.
It goes well.
Could be looking at that as a downgrade if you really wanted to. We'd probably like to see a game from him first and see him hit that low break even. But look,
next week,
if you wanted to go there, great. On the field there, so we see Latrell Pickett in the forward pocket. If you went there with Cozzy Pickett named on half forward, which is interesting. Jack Steele named right there in the midfield with Windsor and Rivers. Xavier Lindsay off the half back with Christian Salem. Interesting. For the Dockers, so Sean Darcy, still named there in the ruck. Yeah. With Jackson, Sarong, Brayshaw, their main three. So I think that probably is Jackson playing midfield ruck.
Yeah.
Not bad. I think we're happy with that. Probably against Max Gawn this week as well.
Correct.
Not a bad call.
Not the worst, yeah.
They do play, I think, from memory, it's like Richmond next, possibly. Richmond and then someone else easy. So could go well next week as well if he's still playing as a midfielder. Other names for the Dockers there, if anyone has... I don't think there's any other relevant names there for the Dockers, actually. So Sherry named on the interchange. That's going to get annoying, Sherry, isn't it?
Yeah. This is going to be different.
Is it Sherry or is it Scary? Sceri.
Yeah. One of those.
We'll find that out.
Yep, Freo's old mate. On Sunday, extended benches as always. So in for Port Adelaide, it comes Sweet, Lai, Will Brodie, Jackson Mead and Luco, Lukosius, and out is Lockie Jones injured and Ollie Lord omitted. So we can assume that Lukosius is straight swap for Ollie Lord.
Probably.
And then Lockie Jones is interesting because do they bring Sweetie into the side or do they make the likes of a Will Brodie who's come off of his injury?
Well, Jordan Sweet named there in the ruck spot. So
there you go. That answers that question.
Named in the side and Vicentini there on the bench. Do they play both of them?
Yeah, probably.
So training today or yesterday, I think it was. Sweet was in the A side, Vicentini in the B side. It's probably going to be like that no matter what because you need two rucks to play. Correct. But I don't know if they play both of them. Interesting. So of the people in there, Lai is on the bench with Will Brodie, with Lukosius. Jackson Mead is named on the bench too.
Yeah, right.
So we don't know too much except for the Jordan Sweet will be in. For the Bombers there, no changes so far. Although Kako is back into the squad.
Gresham and Sardale Hawley.
Yeah, an old friend of ours. So Kako, you would assume, comes in.
Yeah, probably for the Hassan El Achkar, maybe.
Yeah, he was good last week, though. But is named on the bench. Yeah. Where is Kako? Is he named on... He's not named on field, so named on the bench as well.
Wait and see.
Is he? I can't see him at all. Oh, no, he's named in the forward pocket, sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Dyson Sharp, for anyone who went there, including me, is named on the bench, so maybe worry on whether he gets dropped. But Jai Caldwell in the middle with Merritt and Parrish, so that should be there pretty tight.
Yeah.
Rotation, Durham named on the half forward, probably the fourth one. Archie Roberts named on half back. Yeah. Rosie named in the midfield there with Butters and Drew, so interesting. Bergman on the half back. Todd Marshall named in that back pocket, so he's obviously fine, which is good.
Yep. Over to West Coast North. In for the Eagles, Harry Edwards comes back in, Liam Baker, Tim Kelly, and Schoenberg, and only the one Tom Kohler's admitted. So we can assume that's probably Liam Baker.
Yeah, probably
comes in.
Yeah.
Stiff for Kelly, who's still not in the side, but that's all right.
Yep.
And
Baker
then,
named on field there.
Yeah.
Tim Kelly on the bench.
Yeah, and there's still
Schoenberg,
this thing with this is
Edwards.
that two of these blokes might be coming back in, and they would probably rewritten at us anyway. North Melbourne, in comes Coleman Jones, Banch, and Hanson Jr. No changes.
Yep. So Edwards as well. They're named on the halfback, so he'll definitely play. Schoenberg named on the bench. Milan Murdoch also named on the bench.
Yep.
He's sorted by numbers, so don't worry that he's named second last there. Newton, if you went there on the bench. Bo Allen, if you went there, he's on the bench. Duff Tytler on the bench, although we assume he plays. Josh Lindsay on the bench, so not great for a lot of our rookies. Could be not selected. And for the North Melbourne, Sherry obviously named in the midfield there. Sheasel, Davies, Uniac, and Powell in the midfield. Doveston is named in the forward pocket. Blamires off the half back. Where is Cobb McKercher named on the bench as well? Again, number ordered, so I wouldn't worry about that. So is Luke Parker, so interesting to see whether he still plays of halfback. That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So not too many surprises there. Good news that Marshall's in still.
Yep.
Good news that Philippou's still in if you went there. Good news. I don't know if it's good news, but Sean Darcy's still in with Luke Jackson is an interesting one. But I guess it means they're not shaking things up too much, so we can rely on Jackson to do similar to what he did last week. Yep, Solo McAndrew, no Murray is interesting. Does that increase or decrease his scoring? You know, as a young player, do you prefer to have that chop out there? I mean, he's going to have a chop out in Thilthorpe, but is it as good? You know, from the looks of it, Murray pretty much played almost all ruck time, but he just didn't play on field that much. So yeah, a lot of interesting things to watch, I guess.
It's good that my trades haven't changed after that, because sometimes as we're going through the teams, we'll just change the trades a little bit, see what that. We'll have to wait to see if any of those rookies get dropped for the Sunday games.
Yep.
But yeah, as it stands, my trades, I go Selwood to Murdoch, which is pretty much a sideways.
Yep.
And then Blamires comes in for, could literally be anyone, but as it stands, it's Blackiston. I am tossing up Blackiston, Windsor, and Lindsay. Those three downgrades, or I might even just go Jack Carroll, but he's got too much upside. So it's Lindsay, Windsor, and Blackiston that I'm worried who's going to make the least cash.
Well, Blackiston's the lowest priced and the lowest break even, so he has the most room to make cash. But this Port Adelaide matchup's not as easy as we once thought now.
Yes, but Sweet.
He either gets just Sweet, which is harder than Vicentini, or double teamed by Sweet and Vicentini.
Yeah.
So either way is not good. I think we probably all thought that him going in just Vicentini, probably a pretty even matchup.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it is a good thing to get off him early. Windsor did go in with a quad last week.
Yeah.
Little bit of an injury.
I'm hoping that he'll be all right.
Should be all right. Smith and Holmes both as midfielders scored well against Freo last week. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
Lindsay named on halfback, although he did play a bit of wing last week.
We'll see. So I reckon that's
a bit of a worry.
Blackiston over those two.
Yeah, I would probably do the same thing as well. Because you don't want him to also kill their cash gen, and then you just
correct.
He's stuck at 450k, and you either hold him and he loses the cash, or you have to trade him, and there's no one to really go to.
Know.
So in a week where we have cash to spare and a lot of people are holding it, it's probably not a bad idea to get off these guys that you can't get much to.
And that bakes me 169k going into next week.
Plans for next week?
Richards to Dacos, of the Nick variety, and then we'll see. That won't leave me with too much money, I don't think. So we'll have to wait and see if something happens. I'm hoping for a force trade, so it kind of just
it might be that downgrade to
correct
Scary.
Yeah, might
possibly
be
or someone else.
Bloke like a Marshall, or if
Marshall to Scary could be a good move.
Yeah, or then even if there's an injury or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer Butterick's got, but if Rochelle plays well again, you might make that upgrade.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just thoughts. I'm not thinking too far ahead. I'm thinking Richards to Dacos, and that's it. I'm
probably thinking. See, I think Selwood, as a rookie, his time's almost up. There's word that he could play a bit of like a lockdown role, though he was kind of playing that last week. So probably want to get off him, but I think I'm more. The guy, I have a lot of guys on my watch list, so it's Parrish, it's Steele, it's Windsor, it's Blackiston. These are all guys that I'm kind of. They have a time limit.
Correct.
You know, and so if they don't perform next week, I'm pretty happy to jump off them. And obviously, I want Nick next week, but there's plenty of good premiums, probably plenty of good mid prices. You know, we get to see.
Yeah.
If the ones who perform well, you know, like even a Dylan Stevens who was good last week,
Correct.
Wayne Miller, do they back it up? If so, maybe I'm more confident to go there. So I'm more focused at this point on who I get out than who I get in. And it's those guys on my watch list for me, particularly Parrish. I think he might be the one to, maybe I go Blackiston down to a rookie, Parrish up to Dacos. Could be nice. So that's probably where I'm looking at this point.
I like it. Cool.
There we go.
Well, that's it. That's time. 6:06. Let's go watch some footy.
Nice.
Yeah. With any luck, your trades this week on the mark
and not off the mark. And we'll be back on Monday to review all of round 2. Back in the studio. Might have some renovations, possibly.
Yeah,
possibly
like
some branding, maybe, just to keep it ours. But yeah,
cool. We'll see you then.
See ya.